But the fact that Ryan, has gone through 3 top trainers that would have done a great job, Eddie Reynoso, Joe Goosen, and Derrick James.
Correct.
And he's not training with neither of them. He's training with his dad.
Did Ryan Garcia ever allow those trainers to be the boss?
That's why he's back with his dad, because he's the boss. That's why.
Yeah.
Look, Joe Goosen, I know Joe Goosen. My brother used to train with him. He's not gonna just let you get away with stuff like that. Derrick James shouldn't either. Eddie Reynoso doesn't need. He's made so much money with Canelo that if you want to come to me, it's gonna be under my rules. And if that didn't work, then Ryan's back. So that's I give that big advantage to Barrios to even pull that off.
See, that's the thing about boxing, and Big Baby Miller pointed it out, because there's no structure. We need some kind of structure. In the NFL, the guy has to sit there for the media interview. He shows up on time. He's got to do it. And to give you an NFL analogy, think about the Broncos, right? When they had Russell Wilson over there and he had his own office and everything. And it was nothing, it was dysfunctional. Then they hired Sean Payton.
Cut it out.
As a coach, that's like going to train with Goosen or going to train with a world-class trainer, right? And you knew as soon as Sean Payton got there, ain't no one's going to have their own office. And you turn around a couple years later, and they're great. They're in the playoffs, right? That's the thing in boxing. When fighters want it comfortable, right? Sometimes when Miguel Cotto would want to train in certain places because it was more comfortable for him, I thought, I want to see the Miguel Cotto when it's uncomfortable, right? And Cotto's a great fighter, of course, and a serious person. But the fighter really has a little too much control when they reach a certain level sometimes of their own career, which is good in one way, but in another way can limit them athletically. Because boxing is not a comfort business.
Max Kellerman breaks down the Ryan Garcia versus Mario Barrios fight, emphasizing that Ryan's raw talent alone will not be enough. Kellerman stresses that without discipline, structure, and consistent training, Ryan could struggle against Barrios.
Boxing is not a comfort business.
But do you think it's more of his opponent, where maybe I could get away with training with my dad, compared to if I'm fighting a top dude?
It'd be a big mistake to underestimate him.
Right, and it's like everyone thought he was going to win that fight, and Rolly just outboxed him. Rolly outboxed him and looked good doing it. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's crazy. I wish that Ryan, because he's so talented, I wish he would stick to a coach and really just follow the instructions.
Ryan gonna win this fight. He gonna win this.
Max Kellerman and Robert Garcia praised Ryan Garcia's natural skills, but warned that instability with trainers has slowed his development. They contrast this with Mario Barrios' consistency and dedication. Meanwhile, both fighters exchange warnings ahead of the bout.
I think as everybody says, left hand, make sure that's up, you gotta protect it, blah, blah, blah. That's what I would imagine he's saying. And gotta take that away. It's probably, other little things like that. They drill a lot of just keeping the hands up all day long. So it's like here, 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 here. But, this freestyle type of boxing, with technique is gonna overwhelm this man.
It was a great experience. He's definitely one of a kind. I took a lot from that fight, just being in there with somebody with his timing, his skill, his speed. Yeah, just we're gonna use that, in every way, to grow as a fighter.
Your opponent on the 21st, Garcia, hadn't actually won a fight officially since 2023. He's been through a lot of controversies, the scandal with Haney, and then the loss against Rolly Romero. What do you make of all that?
I don't make much of all the. I have somebody who's trying to take my title, and I'm looking just to go out there and defend.
So you're looking to put on a big performance, stylistically, what you're going to come with?
Stylistically, I think this is going to be very...
Mario Barrios vows to exploit Ryan Garcia's fighting style, say he plans to target every weakness he has identified. Barrios is determined to defend his championship belt. Ryan Garcia says he feels no different after his trainer's departure and remains fully focused on preparing for Mario Barrios.
I think it's better for you that he's working with a trainer you're familiar with than...
Oh, yeah, in my eyes, But, hey, because I know I've already said some stuff that guy's already told him. But again, like he said, boxing is one-on-one. At the end of the day, he's a free thinker, I'm a free thinker.
Ryan said, Joe's not going to stop this fight. It's going to be a physical fight, a bloody fight. You're smiling when you're hearing that. Is that the kind of fight you want?
not necessarily that it's the fight I want, but it's never a fight that I shy away from. I've gone out of my shield before. Like I said, you know, every time I step in there, you know, I give it, you know, whatever I have that day. And if that's the way like this fight goes, if it ends in a bloody battle, then, you know, it does, you know, and I've never shied away from that.
I respect that. I honestly do. I do see that in him. He definitely gives everything he got in that ring. And it's dope.
Footage from Ryan Garcia's training camp showcases intense workouts, sharp combinations, focused drills, and serious preparation in Los Angeles.
Lock up top 3. Lock up top 3. Lock up top 3, 2. Yeah.
Ryan Garcia delivers powerful shots on the punching bag during a high-intensity training session, displaying speed and explosiveness. Mario Barrios insists he is fully prepared defensively and is determined not to let Ryan Garcia take his belt. He emphasizes his pride as a champion and his commitment to protecting the title.
And I'm looking just to go out there and defend.
So you look to put on a big performance, stylistically, what you're going to come with?
Stylistically, you know, I think this is going to be a very exciting fight. You know, Garcia, he's explosive, he's dangerous, and but I think on a boxing level, there's no like competing with us. I think I'm the better fighter.
You just said you're the better fighter. Who's going to put more on the line here, your title or his credibility?
I feel like, you know, I'm going into this fight like, you know, I have, you know, everything to lose. You know, I have the title. I'm looking to defend.
Wade Plemons discusses a southpaw stance, explaining how it changes a fighter's approach in the ring. He praises Ryan's analytical mindset, noting that this version of Ryan studies opponents carefully before major fights. Wade reveals that Ryan has been watching fighters like Keith Thurman and Abel Ramos to prepare for Barrios, highlighting that both gave him tough fights. He questions how Ryan's freestyle style will adapt those lessons against Barrios, who is known as one of boxing's best finishers.
See, both tough nights for Mario Barrios, but I'm interested to see what Ryan takes away from those fights. What can Ryan and his style, that kind of freestyle boxing he says he does, what can he implement from either of those guys to beat Barrios?
One of the best finishers in boxing. Like, I know you didn't finish Devin Haney, but you had him drown.
I saved him. I should have knocked him. I just didn't have the conditioning.
I think it still bothers you, huh?
Yes, because I should have knocked him out in that 11th, man. I was playing around too much. Yeah. And I was like, ha ha, like, bro. But next time, that next time, buddy,
there we go again.
You won't have a next time. I'm finishing you. You will never box again if we fight again, and you know that. And I have vowed to that. If we fight again, you will never box again. I promise you that.
Gee, this is what I'm saying, bro. We need this fight. I've said it so many times.
Ryan reflects on his previous fight with Devin Haney, admitting that although he knocked Haney down, he failed to finish the fight due to conditioning issues. He regrets not ending the bout in the 11th round, acknowledging that he held back and played around too much. Ryan insists he will be fully focused next time. Wade responds intensely, warning that a rematch could end Ryan's career. Both agreed the fight would be one of the biggest in America, with just 9 days remaining until fight night.
And someone's against him, when people think he'll lose, when it's a different challenge to him, even though the Rolly fight was a huge challenge. It was a world title shot, right? But you think back through Ryan's career and the fights where he performs better. Oscar Duarte fight, he thought Oscar De La Hoya and all of Golden Boy was against him. Obviously, the Devin Haney fight, no one thought he'd win. The Luke Campbell fight, you know, Luke was an Olympian, so that was a big deal as well. The Gervonta Davis fight, he just lost. I mean, yes, the weight cut, whatever, but Ryan lost. But the mentality of Ryan, that's the thing that's so all over the place from time to time that you just don't know what Ryan you're going to get. I don't know what Ryan we're going to get in the Mario Barrios fight. He's saying all the right stuff. He's trained hard, right? He's acting like this is the one, but mentally isn't, right? Because he kind of said the right stuff. He was a little quieter last time with the Rolly fight, but he said the right stuff, and it's hard to know, dude. It is, because another thing you worry about, I keep looking at this picture of Ryan, and I'm seeing
Mario Barrios speaks respectfully about Ryan Garcia, praising his speed, power, and confidence. He acknowledges Ryan's unusual recent run, pointing to the disappointing loss to Rolando Romero and the spectacular victory over Devin Haney. Barrios also mentions distractions such as controversy and testing issues that may have affected Ryan mentally. Despite everything, Barrios says he ultimately wishes Ryan well.
You look at Ryan as an opponent, obviously I'll put respect on the speed, the power, the confidence, and all that, but it's been a weird stretch for him in the ring, to be fair. The lifeless loss to Rolly Romero, the spectacular victory over Devin Haney, but obviously the drug test, everything that went on around that mentally, and certainly at the end of the day, we wish Ryan well. How do you sort of gauge where he's at as a fighter entering this fight?
It's hard to say really, where exactly he's at, but I just had to prepare as if I have a focused Ryan in front of me, as they're saying. And yeah, just everything else kind of just is just background noise. Wait to look at Ryan's at his best performances, when he has looked extraordinary.
When asked about Ryan's current form, Barrios admits it is difficult to judge exactly where Ryan stands. He explains that his training is based on facing the best possible version of Ryan Garcia. Media narratives and controversies are treated as background noise. Barrios says he is prepared for any version of Ryan that steps into the ring and is ready to rise to the challenge.
One of a kind, he's a character to be around. But no, the move to go be with Joe was gonna happen, whether this fight with Ryan was made or not. I was definitely, just after the pocket fight looking at what steps I wanted to make, moving forward, to just, continue to just grow as a fighter, to just continue to just, work on, I guess, yeah, just to work on myself and, get back to some of the things that has, that got me this far in the first place. Earlier in my career, I was definitely, a lot more aggressive. I had a much higher punch output, and so my team sat down and were like, why not change the scenery.
Tim Bradley analyzes Ryan Garcia's strategy against Barrios, focusing on timing and precision. He explains that Ryan looks to exploit Barrios' movement by flicking the jab and attacking as Barrios changes levels. Bradley highlights the 45 punch, a hybrid hook uppercut famously used by Oscar De La Hoya, which Ryan has studied and adopted. Bradley calls it a dangerous weapon Barrios must watch for.
Because Barrios is a counterpuncher and he likes to stay, again, close to mid-range to outside, mid-range to outside. So he's like, a step or two, I would say a step, right in mid-range when he's firing shots. And so sometimes he'll throw those single jabs at mid-range, and he can be countered with the right hand. But we all know that Ryan Garcia, hopefully his right hand is back, operating. If his right hand is operating, he should have a field day, taking advantage of that, mid-range jab coming from Barrios. And he does it a lot, man. He really does. A lot of stuff that he does, he has good form and technique on it, Barrios. But it's just subtle mistakes that he makes. Like just stand near the pocket after he gets done working, so guys can attack him after he gets done.
Bradley also points out Barrios' vulnerabilities. Throughout his career, Barrios has struggled with body shots, which affect stamina. While he has a strong right hand, he is vulnerable to clean right hands and left hooks. As a counterpuncher who prefers mid-range, Barrios sometimes leaves openings when stepping in with single jabs. Bradley believes Ryan's speed, timing, and precision could exploit these flaws, making this a tactical and high-level matchup.
He swells. He swells quickly, man. Yeah, you know, he gets damaged really easily. You know, you touch him, he starts to bruise up immediately, starts to swell up immediately. So I think Ryan having those heavy hands, I think that can be an issue in the fight as well. You know, those eyes will start swelling, that nose will start swelling up. I've seen, you know, eyes and nose swell up on Barrios, man, and you know, he looked like, you know, real bad, you know, the Elephant Man, you know, after fight. So I think that's something that we got to take into consideration as well. You know, I think, again, let's go back to the trainer. I think it's going to favor Barrios, the fact that he knows that his trainer knows Garcia. It's going to favor him. He's going to know, you know, the approach, you know, on how to get to Ryan Garcia. He's seen him in spar.
Chris Algieri discusses Ryan Garcia's star power, noting his popularity and charisma. Unlike George Kambosos Jr., who built his success through grit and perseverance, Ryan's appeal comes from natural talent and flashy style. Algieri notes that Ryan is yet to win a world title, making comparisons difficult, especially considering Kambosos' career-defining win over Teofimo Lopez. Still, Ryan's popularity ensures he remains a major draw in boxing.
You mentioned it from the onset about being a star. Kambosos was never a star. Kambosos was never that popular, not the way that Ryan Garcia is. So Ryan's here because of that. And yes, he does have some physical gifts and a ton of physical talent, and physical gifts that make him, you know, must-watch TV when he's on. But we haven't seen him on in a long time. And, you know, he hasn't gotten to that position. It's hard to compare him with George because George was the opposite. George was just a hard worker. George always came in shape. But in terms of talent, he was lacking. He got that big win off of heart and grit. And man, did he cash out on that win, because he made so much money after those fights, got himself into so many opportunities that he never would have gotten if he had lost to Teofimo Lopez and became undisputed. Ryan is still yet to be world champion. These guys are almost like literally polar opposites of each other.
Robert Garcia explains that while trainers can provide guidance, success ultimately depends on the fighter's commitment. He says that no trainer can help if a fighter refuses to listen or put in the work. Garcia notes that superstar fighters like Ryan often become the decision makers in their own camps, surrounded by yes men. He compares the situation to Todd Marinovich, whose immense talent was undermined by personal and external pressures.
Look, every trainer is going to do his best to try to correct that and try to get Ryan to do it, but at the end, it's going to be Ryan himself. You know, it's his things going on in his world, his family, his friends, himself, with all those, you know, personal problems. At the end, there's nothing a trainer could do if the fighter doesn't respond, if the fighter doesn't listen, if the fighter doesn't do it. And most of the times, when fighters are that big, like Ryan is, they're the bosses. They call the shots, and the trainer, everybody around them are just the yes men, and that's a problem. That's a problem, and we can't fix that with nobody. You could be the best trainer in the world, but if you got a boss, you know, as a fighter, then and you're a yes man, there's nothing you could do. Ain't nobody gonna fix that.
Robert Garcia concludes by saying that every trainer tries to correct flaws, but in the end, it's up to the fighter. Personal issues, family, and outside influences can't be controlled by a coach. When a fighter becomes a boss and everyone around him agrees with everything, improvement becomes nearly impossible. Even the best trainer in the world can't fix that dynamic. The message is clear. Real change must come from the fighter himself.